I got to tell you just before we get kicked off.
Yeah.
Just you mentioning your mom a second ago. I was talking to Justin on the way over here. I'd rather get this out now than us do it later. But, man, I just got to tell you, like, you know how I feel about Psalm, particularly just the guys of Psalm, right? You've said it many a times. Like, the guys are what makes Psalm Psalm. But what you have, I mean, the rate of the pack is the speed of the leader. That's you. And we all know that leadership permeates down from the top down. And for a guy who has boogered up as much as he could possibly booger up me and not following in God's will and not submitting my life to him and seeing undoubtedly the impact that your mom's life has had on you, the way she's was a soldier and battled and through her death, and then the legacy that's living after her death, and then seeing how you've taken your faith and taken it to Psalm, and it's almost like a 180. I mean, when I went back there a few times and guys are praying, we're opening up with prayer, we're closing with prayer, like, I would tell you, for a guy who's a man of faith and who loves that space, that would never been an expectation of mine or a hope for, really, because it was a place where I felt comfortable being a guy.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you have brought that in there, like, man, you are doing God's work at an exponential level, and I don't even know if you realize how awesome it is and how proud your mom would be.
Oh man, that means the world for me. The world to me that you would say something like that, and I think that's a good way to honestly start the show. Alex, you want to lock us in with some prayer? Let's do it.
Dear Father in heaven, thank you so much for allowing us to come together this day, Lord. We thank you for all the wonderful miracles, even the invisible ones that we can't see. Lord, we thank you for providing us friendship, Lord, and we ask that you allow your will to be done in this conversation and that it would reach the people that it needs to reach, Father. We thank you for your grace and your kindness, and we pray all of this in your Son's, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Great job, Alex. But no, I think that's a perfect place to start, and I can't thank you enough for saying that. And I'm grateful for the both of you for being here and being willing to do this. But originally, why we built this studio, and I've told you this, was to preserve her legacy. So earlier last year, January 2025, I went to Alex and I said, hey, I have this idea. I want to build this studio. And he's a guy, if you give him a box of Legos, he puts the Legos together. Right. That's just not me. I'm one of those vision type of guys. Right. And I wanted to capture her story before it was too late. And I wanted this to be a place to where it was a time capsule for people like yourself. So like that when your children and your family get to view it, like, oh my goodness, that's my dad, that's my mom. These are the things, you know, as a parent and as a husband and as a man of Christ, these are things that I want my son, my daughter, Landon, Ava Madison to be able to see. Right. And it lasts forever. And when you say that, it means the world to me. Psalm means the world to me because proximity is influence. It was not always like that.
Right.
I really started my faith journey 7-8 years ago. And I had Father Patrick Friend in here on Saturday, and it was an absolute incredible show. And we talked about faith and the power of proximity. And I have to give all credit, yes, to my mother because she showed me the way, but also she prayed so hard for me to find a group of men, you being one of them, that would have an impact and influence on me. And it's not what you say, it's what you do, right? Like, That's what I'm drawn to. So I appreciate you, and you've always checked on me through this entire process. You've always checked on me, and you were going through your own battles, and that just tells me who you really are at the core. And I just really appreciate you, Cody. I do. You're one of the men that I look to honestly strengthen myself as a man. And I just want to say thank you, honestly. Thank you for being here. And Brandy, thank you for being here. And this story, I mean, it's the power of 3 with your cancer journey. We'll talk a little bit about that. Your marriage. You know, when this show was built, the Resilience Playbook was built to celebrate the quiet, heroic moments in people's lives, to give people strength. Iron sharpens iron, right?
Right.
And there's plenty of people that carry around the weight, whether it's principals, teachers, parents, leaders, athletes. And sometimes you've got to ask for help and raise your hand. And that's what this show is for. And I just find your story to be powerful. And I can't wait to dive into also like your vantage point, your marriage, where you were tested on, you know, early on, how those little tests pay dividends to what, you know, you all went through this past year, right? So all that to say, I'm extremely grateful and honored that you would say yes to doing this. I really am. And when you walk out of here, I want you two to get in the car and basically say, my goodness, not only was that worth my time, I feel like there was so much lifted off of me, and that brought us closer together. And when can we do it again? So that's my goal for you. Before we dive in, though, look, everybody gets a gift that comes on the show. And you get honey and you get coffee. All right.
We love both.
All right. Perfect. So the honey has a little story to it. Cabot honey. A good friend of mine, her husband makes this honey. He's a veteran.
Nice.
And he started making it to deal with his PTSD from a therapy perspective. Story behind the honey, he was serving in Korea and he was trapped under a mudslide. And so when he started raising bees and becoming a beekeeper out there in Cabot, this became a love for him. And he's helped not only himself, but heal a ton of other veterans along the way. So that's the story behind the Cabot honey. And then also, this is some incredible coffee from Conway. And you can't go bad with really great coffee. So
we appreciate it.
Yeah, no. So this is for the both of you. It's just a little token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, look, let's dive in. Let's just get into it. Yeah. Here you go.
Well, and I've got to thank you again. Well, here, I've got to say this. First of all, we're genuinely humbled to be on the show, because when I think about the folks you've talked with, we've got the military's absolute finest. We've got entrepreneurs. We've got saints like your mother, pillars of faith, and so many other just really impressive people. And then you got the Yeomans. So we're humbled to be here.
Well, look, you take this where you want to take it. But what I would love the audience, the listeners, the viewers to really grab from this, and this is what we talked about yesterday when we were prepping for the show, is that this is a story that is not only rich in faith, but also, if it wasn't that you had her,
amen. Come on now.
I don't think you'd be able to tell the story in the same fashion.
Not at all.
So let's just go ahead and start, though. Let's just start with the cancer diagnosis, your journey, then we'll get into your marriage, and then we'll talk about life's transitions. Okay. And I'm just going to shut up and I'll help navigate the conversation, ask some key questions. And that way, you all have that opportunity to just really unpack what's on your heart.
Well, I'm probably going to look at you a lot, because I think if I look at her during this too much, it's going to.
We got boxes of Kleenexes. You won't be the first, my friend. That's what this place.
I'm a crier.
This place has produced a lot of healthy tears, hasn't it, Alex? It has opened up a lot of hearts already. So, full send, my man. Full send with some tears.
So, I'll what was it? Yesterday or Monday, maybe? So we just this Monday we got a great message from our doctor. PET scan results said no cancer.
Hallelujah, man.
Yeah, amen. And Cole, I got to tell you, it's we're excited about it, undoubtedly. But what's unusual about that experience, because it was a booger, and we can get into that detail. But when you're at Carti and you sit next to people, and it's not their first time to be there, it's not their second time to be there. As you know, with your mother, it's their third, it's their fourth, and it's their fifth time. And it's not that we're sitting at home going, oh, is it going to come back, right? Are we living in fear? Absolutely not. I mean, we give God all the glory and the healing right now, and we are moving forward that we are 100% healed. Yes?
Yep.
But then also you're sitting next to folks there who have a terminal cancer.
Mm-hmm.
They're receiving a treatment to extend life as far as they possibly can, but they will not survive for a long time. And you're I don't even know if humbled's the right word. We're grateful, we're appreciative, but it's tough for us not to look and think about those who aren't going to get my diagnosis. They're not going to get the word, hey, you're cancer free. And so we're excited, but is humility the right word that I'm trying to use with this? Does this make sense, Cole?
It makes 100% sense to me. I mean, something that kept coming up with my mother, right? Especially towards the end. Look, we're all terminal, just we haven't received a timeline yet, right?
That's good.
And that's something I had to constantly repeat to my own self to ground myself in the moment, because she went to UAMS and we'd go, and I think she hit close to 100 treatments.
Wow.
Yeah, somewhere along the way, over 6 years, right? And it's tough getting up time and time again, saying you go into remission, then all of a sudden, hey, it's back and we've got to go through this treatment plan, et cetera. But humility is the best way to put it. I mean, being grounded in gratitude. You can't be mad and sad when you're grateful at the same time. I've learned that along the way too. But real quick, what's your age? Like
So I'm 41.
So you're 41, and that's something we talked about. We talked about on another show is like cancer is becoming more prevalent for those under 50 right now. It's not just for a specific age or demographic, because we had a couple on, Emily and Ray Hester, who's battled through breast cancer. And when it came to your diagnosis, go through the symptoms, like what led to you finally receiving that diagnosis.
Well, what I was going to share earlier, and so Brandy sent me a text. It was on Monday, I believe.
And congratulations. That's huge.
No, thank you. But it was a picture that she had taken at me. We were at our lake house, and it was probably, this time of year? Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like 30-something degrees outside. I'm in cotton sleep shorts and nothing else. And I'm sitting down at the lake in water up to my thighs, and I'm sitting on a rock. And it was just soothing. The water was cold. The air was cold. Well, one of the symptoms of Hodgkin lymphoma that we didn't know at the time, but I had lived with this incessant itching all over my body. I mean, it could not be satiated, could it? I mean, I would scratch till I'd bleed. And I had, what we had thought was a psoriasis, but it was like a type of eczema on the side. I had night sweats. I ran fever for over a 90-day period, had night sweats. I'd get 104-degree temperature and just treat it with ibuprofen. Well, during this process, it's not like I was just toughing it out and just manning it up and ignoring it. For a 2-year period, and I would tell anybody listening, anyone I come across, you have to be an advocate for your health. And
100%. Your health is your wealth.
Oh my gracious! And listen, you have practiced what you preach. You've taught me so much about the adrenal failure and things that you can do, and making sure just we need to feed this body, right? Mm-hmm. How we need to rest. That's probably one of the number one things you've taught me that I neglected. That cortisol was just continually dosing my body. Was I didn't practice good rest, and it wasn't just sitting on the couch and eating chips. It was good sleep, right? Yeah. And making it a priority.
Yeah.
And so you impacted me on that heavily. But what we had learned, I'd seen over a dozen doctors, all right? And they had given me false diagnosis. A lot of them didn't put effort and energy into trying to figure out what's going on with this guy, because I think they saw me. I mean, I was knee deep in Psalm, in really good shape, right? Getting in with the guys every day. So they would look at me and go, almost in a dismissive way. And they lacked curiosity. And so what had happened, I developed a cough. I mean, incessant cough, would not stop. And I went to my PC. I'm going to leave everybody nameless, obviously, but I went to my PC 3 times in 2 weeks. They never did a chest x-ray. They said, your lungs sound great, right? There's no need to do a chest x-ray. Actually, a nurse practitioner asked me if I would like a chest x-ray because it was up to me, which I guess I should have went to med school. But anyways, so because we had this eczema on the side, I found a dermatologist at Conway Regional Hospital, and I will say her name, Elle Dyson. I would tell anybody to go her clinic is phenomenal. It's a multi-specialty clinic. And she saw me, and immediately, y'all, I think I can say this, right? I go into her office, and she puts me in a room, and it's like, get all your clothes off. And I'm like, what? We've met for 5 seconds, and she's telling me strip down. And she starts looking me over like a farm animal, all right? And she goes, you don't have psoriasis. I'm certain this isn't. So she biopsies me. Keep in mind, I saw 2 other dermatologists who never biopsied me and who said I had psoriasis. Went to a rheumatologist who said I had psoriatic arthritis, all right? Everybody was pulling things out of their tail. Anyway, so we get back the results. There's no psoriasis. So she sees that I've developed this cough because I went back a couple of times. She said, you ever got a chest x-ray? I said, no, I hadn't.
And let me stop you there. Part of the reason for no chest x-ray is because of all the doctors that he had been to and because of the fight that he was fighting, his body, that internal fight. And just he had gotten to a place, and I'll never forget this. You said, this was in January, of last year. And he was just like, you know what, Brandy, I am tired of trying to figure it out and feeling bad. I'm not going to another doctor. And we were praying, and that was just my heart's prayer. Lord, bring the right doctor. Like we have to have an answer. We need to name it. We need a name for what it is so that we can know what to do. And we don't have that name yet. We need the name. Bring the right person. And there was a lady at work that actually recommended this doctor. And he looked at me and he was like, I don't think I'm going to go to another doctor. And I was like, yep, we're going to go again. We're going to try again. We're going to figure it out. Because he looked at me and he said,
thank goodness you pushed him to go.
Right. But he said, I just am at a place where I'm hoping my body will remember itself. He was that desperate for, he was just really ready to give up, because he was just like, we've tried everything we can try and nobody's given us answers. And so, Elle Dyson, that's when she jumped into the picture and the story changed.
Real quick, before you go into that piece of it, could you share that picture, though, of him where he was at the lake with us?
Did you bring your phone?
Yeah, I have my phone.
Or just after the show's over.
Absolutely.
Like, I would love for the audience to be able to see that picture.
It's a pretty pitiful picture. I'm glad you filled that in because, so Donna Rife, who's our HR director, she had this chair in her corner that we call it the therapy chair. And I just sat there and I was just sort of beside myself. And I said, I got this going on.
Oh my goodness. Did he even know you were behind him?
I was in the lake house just praying over him because, again, we were in a desperate place. That was January of last year.
What was going through your mind?
That he hoped his body remembered itself.
That's a powerful quote. It's okay to cry, brother.
Well, let me tell you.
Thank you for that.
I do remember it because it was a desperate time. And I wasn't just sitting there hopelessly. But one thing I've learned is that God's creation has some amazing healing properties. I think that's why a lot of times men gravitate toward going to the woods or
absolutely.
get on the water. And I remember it was a beautiful morning and that sun was just as cold as it was, that sun was warming my face and my body. And I knew he was with me. As down as I was, as desperate as I was, I knew he was with me. I didn't have a lot of hope in that picture, but I did know that he had me. And from that, as I mentioned, we did the chest x-ray on a Wednesday. She calls me that evening. She says, there's something massive around your heart. We don't know what it is. We need to get you in here.
She used the word, there's something massive.
Massive.
Yeah.
So they get me in for a CT the very next day. It's a Thursday. And she says, we're going to get you the results as quickly as we can. I'm in Cabot at Home Depot, and I'm getting bags of sand. I remember it vividly. And I get a phone call, and it's her. She says, Cody, it's Elle. And she sounded really, she was down. I mean, it was news she did not want to deliver. And she said, you have a massive tumor in your mediastinum between the heart and the lungs. It's over the size of a volleyball. And she said, it's pressing in on your lungs, and that's why you're coughing. And so
she said it was over the size of a volleyball?
Yes, it was massive. And so unbeknownst to us, there's two in there. There wasn't just one. So anyways, when she had shared that news with me, she got emotional about it. And I said, Elle, it's okay. I was almost elated in Home Depot. I wanted to I don't think anybody could ever be more excited to hear they had to have cancer than me.
Well, yeah, you just got it named.
Yes, it finally, that's exactly right, Cole. It has a name. I know my enemy now. All right. And I'm going to go after
go time.
It. That's right. And so when she said that, I said, it's going to be okay. I'm appreciative. I'm grateful because this has been a 2-year deal. I thought I was going crazy. And I remember pushing that concrete out on one of those little flat carts out to my truck. And I had a moment. I did. Ooh. And then I was like, get it together, because you got a wife and you've got children. Your role doesn't change. All right. It's another battle. We've been through plenty of them. Bring it on. And then we got after it, didn't we?
That's incredible to me, because I don't know how many people would respond like that. Truthfully, like they get a call in the middle of Home Depot. A lot of times, I'm not saying for everybody, right? I'm not saying for everybody. It's not if life happens, it's when life happens.
That's right.
And your grade is the response to the test. That's what I tell my children all the time, right? You're going to make adjustments. You're going to have to keep moving. You're going to have to find that why that's really deep to pull you through a lot of things. Most people, when they hear that type of news, honestly crumble, and they go the opposite way. My mother responded the same way you responded.
About to say.
Right? She, once it was named and she knew it, kind of similar story in regards to her taking her health into her own hands.
Right.
That she's the one that figured out she had ovarian cancer.
Gosh.
Pretty much. Like,
right.
And here you are in Home Depot. Was there any anger?
Never.
No shaking the fist at the skies?
You know, and I no,
it
never.
was more of a flip of the switch and says, I know who my enemy is now. Let's go.
It was, and let me be clear on this.
Where does that mentality come from?
Okay, well, let me be clear on this. That's not all Cody Yeoman, okay? When you are a believer, in my opinion, and it says in Galatians 5:22 through 23, all right, it's the fruit of the Spirit. And it talks about love and peace and joy. And we can go on a whole other talk around. We're all fighting for something. Everybody thinks they're fighting for happiness and all this other thing, prosperity. What most people are fighting for is peace.
100%.
And it comes from the Holy Spirit.
100%.
Period. You can manufacture it. You can try to control your environment as much as you want. But I'm telling you, it is a gift that only comes from the Father. And so that peace I had in that moment, and I'm telling you, complete peace, it came from Him. That's why I was confident. And then it was like, I mean, He's on my side. God's on my side. I don't care what enemy's on that other side. I don't care what dog's on that other side. All right. When I've got Him in my corner, and I know what gifts He's given me. I know what He's made us capable of. My partner right here, I think I'm tough. She's tougher than me every day of the week.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Is when you got home and you shared the news, I'm sure you called her immediately and told her.
Well, so I think you need to, because some of it's blurred probably for me from that point. But I mean, how was that? I don't even remember really how I shared it with you.
I think you waited until you got home. I think we were in the bathroom. We just sat on the bathroom floor, and you were like, he told me that Elle called and had news, and we have experienced some pretty heavy things in life, and God has a way of preparing our hearts for things, and we were just so ready for answers, and so I was excited to know that there was an answer as well, as weird as that sounds. And the same mentality of just whatever it is, God will see us through. He has seen us through every difficult circumstance in life. And He is always there, and He'll be there. And so we just want to know what it is and what we need to do. And so the fact that there was, revelation there, we knew what it was and what to do. It was like, I felt the same way. There was almost a sense of peace, like, okay, this is hard. This is not what we wanted to hear. Nobody wants to hear the word cancer. And when you're 40 years old, you do not expect to.
No, not at all. I mean, not at all. It's the last thing that honestly is on your mind. Like, that's why I said what I said earlier. Here you are. I mean, you're an athlete, right? You got a beautiful wife, got a family. Right. You are starting your prime in your career,
right?
And then boom, you're hit with this news.
Right.
Most folks are not going to respond in that manner, and I would say most folks though don't have their faith isn't as strong as yours too, in a lot of ways.
Well, and just add, and I actually prayed about this somewhat before we came on. God does give us gifts. That's undoubt. But He also puts us in an environment that I believe that also shapes us, right?
100%.
And And I think a lot of times you're a product of your environment. You either become a lot of like the environment you came from, or you decide, hey, I don't want to be a whole lot like that, right? And I will share this. You know, my dad and I, we don't really have a relationship right now. We haven't talked for really quite some time. Now, I want to be really clear. I am here, and anything I talk about him, I am in honoring mode for him. I want to honor him. All right.
That's powerful for you to say, Cody.
Well, and here's why I said, and so here's another crazy story. I mean, since I was about 10, my biological mother and I, we had no contact either. She had both of them had some really challenging childhoods that I think definitely impacted them into their adult years. But we did get reconnected briefly, my mother, and it wasn't a Hallmark story by any means. We don't talk anymore. But here's the reason I'm sharing that too, is that I think the biological makeup of my biological mother, as we found out, because we were like, man, she's hard-headed and stubborn and really opinionated. Who does that sound like, right? And it was this guy. But then my dad, you know, one thing with my dad, good, bad, or indifferent, you were going to have a work ethic, and his definition of a man, like you were going to come and bring it every day. Like you can rest when you die was his mentality, right? Daylight's burning. And so I think that's why that translated really well into sports and athletics, right? It translates really well into business, right? It translates really well in when your marriage is on the rocks and you're going to continue to choose to fight for it, right?
Yep.
And so really, as crazy as it may sound, is I don't have a relationship with either of my folks, but I see how they positively contributed to my life.
It's so powerful that you are taking the opportunity to honor them. Seriously, that's just incredibly powerful to me, because there's somebody that's going to watch this, that's going to listen to this, that have come from a similar environment, and ultimately it's their responsibility to change their family tree, just like you've done, right? But you're still honoring your parents, which is, I would imagine, has its own set of challenges internally, but speaks volume of who you are, and honestly, the fight you brought to cancer's doorstep versus the other way around.
Right.
I mean, it really is. And I want to go back though to your HR director. Yeah. You said she has a therapy chair in the corner. And the reason why I want to do that, because in the business that I am in, you know, we are the chief architects for the heartbeat of an organization, the people. And we work with HR teams, incredible teams across the country, you know, the C-level suite when it comes to how do we take care of our people, not just through benefits, but through culture and communication, all the things. And I have witnessed time and time again through my business, you know, when you have someone like that is willing to sit, listen, and help, and they truly are empathetic to the sense of like, I truly care, because there's somebody dealing with something every single day that an employer just cannot see.
Right.
Whether it's death of a loved one, receiving a cancer diagnosis, or something that just comes out of left field, right?
Right.
And it's always just incredibly, you know, moving and motivating to me when I hear like that. So when you went in to that office, into that therapy chair, can you unpack just your conversation that you had?
Yeah, no, and I've got to say this, and just as a preface to that too, is that, you know, I mentioned this with you earlier, with you regarding all the things that you lead, from business to the School of Man to this, and I mean all the other things that you're involved in, is that from my opinion, leadership permeates from the top down, and we are beyond blessed to work for a family-owned company, Middleton,
which is huge.
Which is Middleton Heat and Air, 50-year-old family-owned company of almost 400 employees. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you, they treat everyone in that place like family.
That's what I've heard.
Right,
which is incredible.
And they were by our side this entire past year. They didn't skip a beat. They did not hesitate. Larry Middleton, the owner of the company, was literally the first person I called when I got the cancer-free diagnosis, because he supported and loved our family so well, and along with his son Blake. But so Donna, I mean, that's the culture she's in, right? And so, who is our HR director, and just a sweetheart. And you know, when I was sitting there, I mean, it wasn't a planned deal. I was just sort of, and I'm not somebody who really vents, you know, or I try not to vent or complain, but I think I was desperate. And man, God put me in the right place at the right time with the right person, because that's how I heard about Elle. And then it went from there, as I shared earlier.
That's just incredible to me. It just is. And that just shows you the power of when you have the right leadership that's in place, the right culture.
Right.
Because there's plenty of businesses, plenty of companies that don't have that.
That's right.
People are very fearful to even go ask, or it's more so, you know, there might be thousands of folks and one person can't help 1,000 people in that manner, right? So sometimes that gets lost, and that's just refreshing to hear, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you know, once you got the initial news, both of you got this initial news, you're in the bathroom. Brandy, what was your response when he told you, like, hey, this is what it's Dr. L, correct? Like, this is what Dr. L
L. Dyson.
Yeah, what we talked about.
We were both, I mean, naturally, we were both tearful.
Sure.
But again, a sense of just direction. There was a sense of peace in knowing that we had a name for it and that we were going to have a plan. And then there was also, you know, they say that it's hard for two opposite emotions to live together, but they can. So you have peace, but you also have fear. There's a lot of fear there, right? And just what type of cancer? What does this look like? What does this journey look like for us? And then, you know, as you process, we all process, and we generally do that, I feel like, pretty quickly. But then just knowing, like, okay, like, all right, God, this is another learning experience that you're going to take us through. And I think we shifted into that pretty quickly. Like, okay, anytime you're in a valley, anytime there's a challenge in life, it's an opportunity for growth, and we're fixing to grow here. And I don't know what that looks like, but you're going to be in the center of it, and we're gonna walk through it. So
in that moment, you had the courage, because you can't have courage without fear, right? To lean in, you know, through your faith and say, God, what are you strengthening me for? Because, you know, I could only imagine, you know, being, you know, a part of that conversation and you saying, hey, look, it's go time. All right. We're in a valley. I know, God, you got a plan. We're going to grow from this. This is going to strengthen us, because so many people go down the rabbit hole of what if, and you never let your mind wander down there. You never let your heart wander down there. And, you know, I even yesterday, without naming names, had a great conversation, was mentoring someone that has a potential second cancer diagnosis. They just went through cancer in 2025. Then they found another spot somewhere else. And it just felt like the weight of the world was on his shoulders. And I was there. I was there to help him carry the weight. And because at that moment in time, it's just like, look, I'm not ready. It's what he even said. He goes, I'm just not ready to die. Right. And he said, I'm just not. I've got so many other things that I want to do, and want to be around my grandkids and want to make memories and all the experiences that we possibly can. And to me, just listening to the both of you, which it's very, very powerful to hear just in that moment how you two are able to respond together. Because also, it could have been, as his wife, you could have made this a heck of a lot harder than what it was going to be. Meaning, like, if you were emotionally distraught, if you were questioning everything, like, why us, why me, you know, that could have just made it that much more difficult, the path that he was about to take, that y'all were about to take as a family. I mean, kids, how many kids do you have?
We've got two. And if I can share this just really quickly.
Go for it.
All right.
This is your story.
So I mean, really, if we were going to have a conversation around somebody, it would really be her.
And that's what I'm wanting to highlight.
Because I mean,
that's what I'm trying to pull out right now.
And listen, you need to receive this right now, because she's super humble. Now, not only does she have 2 undergraduate degrees, she has a master's in counseling, she has a master's in administration, and then God, I'm telling you, since a young woman, God gave her the spiritual gift of discernment. She's literally the
That
wise.
is a gift.
Hey, I'm telling you, brother, she's the wisest person. And I'm not saying it because she's my wife. She is the wisest person I've ever been around in my life. And I just happen to get married to her. Now, sometimes
Good
you don't,
for you.
Hey, sometimes you don't want to receive that wisdom, though. Okay. But I will tell you, so of 22 years together, almost 18 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
Let me tell you what she did for almost 12 years, or at least a good decade, right? And I was a misfit heathen, brother. I was as wild. I did everything you could possibly do to screw up a relationship and a marriage, okay? And she just kept taking Jesus and setting him in front of me. Taking Jesus and setting him in front of me. This girl, you think I'm a dog or I could be relentless, or you. I know you're a dog, okay? This girl is relentless. Like, I think it must be that German blood that she's got. I'm not going to say she's hard-headed or stubborn.
So were you raised were you raised like this? Meaning like just to be relentless?
Not really.
Where
Not
does
really.
it come from?
My mother is a very gentle spirit.
Yeah.
My dad's side of the family, they're a little bit more aggressive and stubborn, the German side.
Sure.
But thank you for honoring me with all of those really beautiful things you just said. I don't know about all of that, but I'll receive it. I think about the human body, okay? And in marriage. And the wife is one side of the body and the husband is the other, right? And when you get married, you're trying to figure out how to operate as one, as a body. And when one is just more spiritually grounded and you have exercise in that and in your faith and in the way that you live with Jesus and walk with Jesus, even when you marry someone who is not as strong in their faith. This side of the body is getting a lot of exercise, right? Just think about the physical of that. And this side is not, right?
It's atrophy.
You know which unexercised side she's talking about is my side.
So the body doesn't work as it was designed to, right? As a whole, together beautifully, like God created us to, the body to work. And so that was kind of like the start of our marriage. And
you've been married for 18 years.
Going on 18.
Well, number one, wisdom. Yeah. Like that's straight up wisdom right there. But keep going. So like within the marriage.
Yeah. So, the other side when the other side is strong and you're both leaning into the Lord and you're both relying on the Holy Spirit and you're both in the Word and you're both prayerful, then the body works as one and our marriage works as one, as it's supposed to. And a lot of times we just don't start off that way, right? Because we're two young individuals.
Oh my goodness.
Trying to
Ashley
figure out.
and look, if she was in here and there was another mic right there, I was the weak side of the body for sure. Like I was in your camp, my friend. We were running in the same pack because our first 6 years of marriage were pretty tough. And I was very immature in a lot of ways.
I think a lot of people are that way, and I think that the Lord can use that. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. We're all broken humans and we're all sinful. And so we're all bringing something different to the table. And God can use all of that. He uses that time, I think, in our life to bring us closer. And I think this is the moral to the story. Every day we have an opportunity. It is an opportunity to wake up and choose our perspective, right?
Yes.
And every day is an opportunity. And so in my little school that I lead, we have chapel. And one of the things that I love to remind them is this is the day that the Lord has made, and we are going to rejoice and be glad in it. And I'm not just saying it because it's a song. I'm saying it because I mean it.
But that's a big thing. Right?
Yeah.
I'm being serious. It's when you have someone like yourself that leads the school, or even like right now, like I'm just drawn to your energy. Like people are drawn to energy. I think that's one of the greatest assets that God has gifted us with. I'm talking about passion, enthusiasm, authenticity, all that comes out. You're not just saying it because it's a song. You're saying it because you mean it, but you've also every single day have lived it. I mean, you two alluded to earlier, y'all been through some pretty tough times. Hard times create strength. And I'm not just talking in the past year, the past 12 months, right? But going back to that, to the cancer journey, when you started your treatments, Cody, walk us through kind of what that looked like.
Oh, so all that really powerful, strong, tough stuff I said earlier. So then chemotherapy came into play, and I'm going to tell you, brother, I don't think there's anything anyone could have said to help prepare me mentally, spiritually, or physically for that experience. I think so. What was wild?
What kind of chemo was it first? Do you remember?
So we had 7 bags. So I don't remember all the names. I do remember a couple of them buggered me up pretty good.
I was about to say there's some heavy hitters, man.
Oh man, and you always hear about like the Red Devil. So I had like 2 of those. All right. So in the United States, to treat Hodgkin lymphoma, there was not another drug legally that they could give me. So I would actually have to go to Europe, and they had one other drug that they could have used. So they threw the kitchen sink at me, is what they did. And there was just a lot of cancer to kill, right? But
there's close to 2 volleyball sizes of tumor. I mean,
it's a bunch.
That's insane to me.
Well, and what we learned about lymphoma, which is really interesting, is that
what is Hodgkin's lymphoma?
So, you'd think I would know more about it.
We're not doctors.
It's in the lymphatic system,
there we
obviously,
go.
right? But really, it's a derivative of most cancer cells, right? And the mitochondria has been damaged, right? The cells have fermented, and it's growing, right? And it's being fed, right?
And the symptoms you had that led to this diagnosis again were what?
So incessant itching, night sweats, fever, the itching. Man, I could tell you, I wish I could describe or in an articulate way how bad that itching
Did
was.
you feel like you were on drugs?
Oh my gosh, dude, it was terrible.
Seriously, I'm being serious.
Yeah, bro, it was terrible. And so,
and how long did that go on before the diagnosis?
For 2 years.
For 2 years?
2 years.
The cough is what
See,
gave
I
it
missed
away.
that earlier.
The cough.
Is what gave it away. Was it like a weeping cough? Was it like a deep cough, or was it like a shallow, like
just this little sissy cough? I was like,
no, but it never,
just constantly.
It never went away. He always had to have a cough drop in his mouth. It never went away.
So
for months.
But that's important for the audience. Again.
Yeah, to know its signs.
To know the signs, right?
And what was crazy, when we got there, the doc was like, yeah, these are the most obvious signs. These are all the signs that you have every sign of Hodgkin lymphoma. And so, but what we found interesting is I was like, hey, I told him, crack me open, take it out. Well, with lymphoma, they can't go in and just chop the head off because it'll just pop up somewhere else. And so, as you know, with your mother, I mean, that chemo, for lack of a better word, it's poison. And it goes in there to do one thing.
I will be honest with you. It made me so mad every time I went up to UAMS. I don't know. I guess the only reason why is like, man, there's got to be a better way about going about this. Like this, killing somebody to basically try to get rid of the cancer doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So like then I start questioning other things, but that's not for this episode.
And we could probably join you for that episode because we for the amount of white papers that I read and then the studies of just over the counter things that folks can administer and take and actually get positive results. And, we're big. I mean, we're believers in naturopath and all the rest too.
And I am too. And that's kind of where my probably frustration comes from. And I start thinking, man, is this the big medical system,
well, every time we pulled into
you're hitting the hot
not to get off
Cole,
on a tangent. Not to get off on a tangent.
So I gotta share the Vermont story.
Yeah, go for it.
So we're in Vermont on a vacation in January because Brandy Googled that Vermont's a great place to go in January. It's a really beautiful place. It was really cold. We loved it. But when we went skiing, we had a good time. But Cole, I can't believe you know me well enough to know I can't believe I let this happen to me. I had like one of those pill bottles that have like Sunday through Saturday on them. And it was full of pills. And I was in the bathroom at the bed and breakfast we were staying at, and I was like, it just hit me. And I was like, what am I doing here? But for 2 years of seeing over a dozen doctors, all they did is they gave me drugs to treat symptoms.
Right.
Nothing was ever a root cause solution. And so, anyway, I'll put that to the side. I think it's easy to get caught up in that because you're trying to find an answer and you're like, hey, I'd go eat whatever they told me to eat if that was going to get me better. Right. But as we know, none of those things work. So when we got to that diagnosis and then they said, here's what it was. Now we're in chemo. Right. And brother, I think it was after the second treatment, possibly, I told Brandy, like, when I tell you a valley, like, I thought things Cody Yeoman's never thought in his life. I didn't, not to be like prideful, I didn't think my spirit had the ability to think some of the things that I was thinking. I'll tell you, after this was all done, after my last chemo treatment, I was even ashamed of myself for thinking some of the ways that I was thinking because the way that I was responding to the chemo, and it was a butt kicking, man. It was the
Were
most
you thinking like suicidal thoughts?
100%.
Yeah.
Now, was it one of those things like I was like, I'm going to actually do this?
Would you tell her? Would you tell Brandy?
I mean, I shared with
Yeah.
it makes you want to do that. Now, Cole, I wasn't ever going to pull the trigger, none of that business. But you were feeling so desperate. You were like, that's on the table. I sat out in the yard in lawn chairs and in hammocks with no energy, felt like I was taking the last breath of my lungs. And I was like, Lord, if you want to take me, take me. That's not Cody Yeoman. Cody Yeoman's the guy who wants to be around forever. He wants to protect and guard his wife. He wants to be a provider to his children. He wants to create experiences. I want to walk my...
Yeah.
I want to walk my baby girl down the aisle. And so when I went there, that's when you look around and go, suck it up, buttercup. All right. Yeah, it sucks. All right. It sucks. Own it. It sucks. We're not going to pretend it doesn't. Own the situation. All right. And you're going to push through. You're going to fight through. You're going to grind through. And that's what it was. I mean, I remember telling you, right? I was like, I felt like every living, breathing second of my life is taking maximum amount of effort. And that could just be laying in bed, as crazy as that sounds, just laying in bed, trying to have some comfort and peace took maximum amount of effort. There was just no relief, it felt like, ever during chemo. It was brutal.
What was going through your mind the entire time? Watching him go through this.
Well, he said there's a lot of things that go through your mind, but again, when you're in a valley or you have a negative experience in life or something bad or traumatic is happening, we have a choice each day. And you have to hit the reset button each day. And some days you win and some days you lose, or you fail at hitting the reset button as you should. But it's an opportunity to regain perspective. And so every morning it's just like, what does my family need from me? And how do I cover for him? And so, and where do we find joy today? There are things to be joyful about. How do I continue to create consistency for my kids and joy for them and just keeping their perspective in a positive place? And so, and navigating that and their little emotions. And so, that's, as a mom, that's what you focus on. How do I protect my family and cover for him and take care of him? What are the needs today? And Lord, I can do it. Like with you, I can do it. And we're going to find moments to be joyful in. Watching one of the strongest people
And
that
that's
you
why I
know.
asked. Yeah. Because he's Superman.
That's right. That's right.
Just
Come
saying.
on now. Come on
He's
now.
Superman, but then all of a sudden the kryptonite shows up. And
That's right. It's hard. It's hard to watch someone that you love endure that. It's hard to watch one of the strongest people that you know.
What do you say
endure
to him,
that.
though, as your wife? Like, what does a spouse say to another spouse in that moment?
We would pull up to Carti and he would immediately get sick. And it was just the trauma from the chemo. And he would start, needing to vomit before any medication was ever put in. And I remember him telling me, he's like, I hate going and knowing that I'm going to get my ass kicked and I can't do anything about it. Like, I'm going in and
Those are my words, not hers.
this 100%. He's like, knowing that I'm going to have to go into a fight that I already know I'm losing. I'm going to lose. And I told him, I was like, but in the end, it's just like, in the end, you're not going to lose. This is one, it's like a race. And you're going to lose each little segment along the way. It's going to feel like you're losing, but you're not. We're going to win. At the end, we're going to win. And you're going to keep fighting because that's who you are and that's what we do. And we know that the Lord is with us and it's not an option.
So then what do you say to the kids? To see their father, who is Superman,
Mm-hmm.
going through this battle. Like, how do you navigate their little emotions?
Our 3-year-old was really sweet. She doesn't fully understand. And so the port was a big deal for her, seeing Daddy with the port and his boo-boo, so she would tell people, and that's how like her perspective, and Daddy has a boo-boo right here for his sickies. And that's kind of the way we talked about that. And again, I think with her being 3, she didn't have a great understanding, so that's easier. With our 10-year-old, again, it's an opportunity. And, I just told him that. I was like, Daddy's sick, but Dad's a fighter and he's going to be okay. And we're going to be okay. And I'm going to need you to help more around the house. I'm going to need you to help me and help us as a family. And so this is an opportunity for you to show me and Daddy, like, how you're growing and how you can be a helper. And so we just always talk about contributing to the family and, your part in that, everybody's part in that. And so I just told him, I'm like, this is an opportunity for you to help Mom and to show Dad that you can do it and being responsible, and he's going to be okay.
So on that line of thought, right? What advice would you give to another couple when it comes to not just your marriage, but also how you parent through adversity like this?
Here's the deal. I told him that Daddy was going to be okay, but I couldn't promise that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think with children, it's important to, obviously you have to have some guardrails on what you share and how you share, depending on their age. But being honest and transparent with them and saying, Daddy's fixing to have, he's been diagnosed with cancer, and we told him that, what it was. And this is going to be a journey. This is what the doctors have said he's going to have to do to get better. And our goal is for him to get better. So I think it's just important to, be mindful of how they process, and every child is different. And so knowing your children and knowing how they process and work through their emotions and how they carry that, and just always being observant and aware of how they're responding to. But we would have conversations. It's like, Daddy just got through with chemo, and so this weekend is going to be one of those hard weekends. What would you guys like to do? Do you want to go bowling? So giving them an experience or an opportunity to kind of step away from it and not just be consumed with it.
Mm-hmm.
That balance for them. That's how we tried to navigate it.
And then you as a dad, how do you get yourself to a place to where with your kids, like, they're used to you going full throttle with them. You don't feel 100%.
Right. So first of all, you're amazing. I love you. I'm blessed beyond belief. I'm lucky. I got a great one right there, buddy.
Very much so. That's why I asked those questions, because there is definitely a couple that will watch this, or there's one in the marriage that's going to watch this that is battling right now.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, adversity can either bring you together.
That's right.
Or if you allow it, can tear you apart.
Right.
And
let me be honest too, Cole. At the end of of his chemo treatments after we had been in it for, 9 months.
Which is wild.
I was weary,
Well, absolutely.
from carrying the load,
Sure.
right?
From carrying the weight. I mean, that's a lot.
And it not even the weight of the family, but just mentally, physically, I would say mentally carrying just those things. And so it's important to have community and godly people around you.
Oh,
And I could not have, if I hadn't had the support of family and friends and godly family and friends to rally around me, and the prayer support, I know I'm 100% confident that the peace that we experienced through this journey was part of the prayer that was sent out on our behalf.
Your faith is infectious.
Hey, you notice that she honors God and everything.
I mean, your faith is absolutely
incredible.
infectious.
Well,
I mean, why do you believe that though?
because I've experienced God's goodness in my life over and over again. And I've, even when things aren't good, I've experienced his steadfast love. He's always there. And there is not a valley I've been in that he has not been right there with me and that I haven't made it out of. And I do think part of that is being resilient, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a vein that we have to exercise. And again, every day, I failed a lot of days, but every day he gave me an opportunity. It's perspective, right? That's where that comes in. When I wake up, I have a choice in my perspective over every situation today. I have an opportunity to be prayerful before I say, before I do, throughout the entire day. Will I do it? He's there. He's waiting. And when I did, my days were easier because he helps me. He reminds me there's joy here. Look at the opportunity as opposed to the adversity. Look at what you have what you can learn or grow from, or how you can spend time with your kids where daddy might have done it. It's an opportunity for you to do it now. So is it an opportunity, or is it's our perspective? Is it something, do we consider it adversity and hardship, or do we consider it an opportunity?
You got me ready to run through a wall. I need you to come instruct at Psalm. Jeez. So you got me fired up. Let's go. Well, no, I appreciate you saying that. I really do. There's so many men that I mentor and coach that with their marriages, they definitely struggle. The struggle's real. And when it comes to faith, although that they might be going to church, they have a good prayer life. Sometimes it's just when their faith's rocked, they have a tough time having that level of belief.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, for me, when someone's in that mode to where it's like, hey, listen, you're praying for me, but right now I don't think God's listening. It's very challenging in that moment to get them back to center, get them back grounded. So that's why I said your faith's very infectious, because I firmly believe it wasn't the chemo that healed this man. It was your faith, how y'all approach life. That's the play out of the resilience playbook, that regardless of what the odds were, you were connected as that one body, and you were operating together through this entire process, knowing that you were fatigued. I mean, that is a lot. That's a lot of weight. And then going back to the dad question, as a dad, right, you want to be that provider, that protector. You're going to walk your girl down the aisle, right? Like, how would you find the energy to still be dad?
Well,
he did an incredible job.
I can only imagine. That's why I'm asking the question. The reason why I wanted both of you on this show is because of how he truly operates. I also have a question about, did you work the entire time?
Absolutely. So we had a rhythm that developed. So I'd go in on a Thursday. This was every other week. We'd go in on Thursday for treatment. The Middletons were gracious to give me Thursday and Friday off. All right, with no problems. I mean, they gave me all the time off I needed. I mean, they're amazing. But we got into this rhythm. All right, and I'd get treatment on Thursday. And Cole, I'd essentially sleep till what, late Saturday, and May, and then start getting our legs underneath of us on Sunday, and then it was back to work on Monday. And so that was a good thing because we were shaking the cobwebs loose on Sunday. So trying to
Were
get
you going to church on Sunday?
we
Hit
made
or
it.
miss.
Yeah,
He would make it with us
I would
when he
imagine
could.
when you
Yeah.
felt like
Yeah.
you could go.
there was a couple times I did go after treatment, and we were like, that was a bad idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
it was hard for him to make
I can
it
imagine. Yeah.
and so we would have that week, and you're just pushing through, you're fighting through, and I'm taking the kids to school, we're hanging out, we're having fun, but it wasn't at the level that it used to be, right? Out shooting hoops, or playing in the yard, or jumping on the trampoline. I might have been laying on the trampoline, but then that following week, right? Then we would hit the weekend, and I was like, all right, I'm starting to feel a little better. Well, then. That's how it's designed, right? As soon as you start to feel a little better, that's when they come in and knock you back down. And so we pushed through, though. We still had spring break vacations. We went summer vacation. And, I will tell you a sweet moment with the kids was at our beach vacation. And I mean, I'm a big kid. Like, I want a boogie board all day long, right?
Same here.
Yeah.
My wife tells me, she's like, I've got 3 kids. He's the biggest one.
You get it.
Or she tells everybody else, like, Cole's the biggest kid because I'm like in our living room or dining room, Landon got a ping pong set that you can, the net that you can attach to the table.
Yeah.
Of course, he's taped everything off with painter's tape. And
It's on.
we've got chairs everywhere just playing ping pong. I mean, they found my old Nintendo upstairs at my parents' house. So I was like,
You put in some work on them.
yeah. So like,
Yeah.
I said, take it and let's see if it works. So he has Mario Brothers, old school Mario. He goes, Dad, the
that's great.
graphics are kind of, they're pretty bad. And I'm like, yeah, but man, you got to know where. I said, you got to know where all the hidden things are along
absolutely.
the ways. I was like, we're going to go take down Bowser. So like, I'm upstairs like last night he's like, this looks fun, but it's pretty bad, and graphics wise. I was like, well, I said I didn't game hardly at all. I was always outside. I was always playing sports, and it's like, but this was our version of gaming. But
That's
it's
right.
something to share in those experiences is what I'm saying, because that's what they remember more than anything.
Well, I mean,
But as a dad, I would imagine like being the biggest kid, playing hoops,
right.
jumping on the trampoline.
Well, and
Boogie boarding, when you don't have the energy, I said it earlier, energy is one of our greatest assets. As Christians, the Holy Spirit, that is what I also refer to as our energy. Again, do you think that they really noticed it? Or, I mean, did they, Dad's here, but he can't go full throttle now?
They absolutely noticed it. I mean, because we were always having conversations, and I was like, I let
Were you very vulnerable? Were you very vulnerable? I mean, you had to be very vulnerable
Yes.
with them in that state. Like,
So yeah,
there's nothing hiding from them at that point.
It just whoops you so hard. You can't really hide it. Not on the protocol I was on, but going back to, I mean, and Cole, you'll appreciate this because you're this type of guy. You're an intentional person,
Very much
all
so.
right? And so our time together and the good time that we had to be intentional with it, right? And so that's when we'd be going to the zoos. Now, we went to Memphis Zoo. There's not a park bench at the Memphis Zoo I did not sit on, okay? But we were creating the experience, darn it. I don't care. It was just going back to that mentality we were going to push through. And those are things we like to do. We wanted to keep life as normal as possible.
My mother was the exact same way. Her faith was her sustenance. Her why was her family. And she, was devout Catholic. And so her rosary was her armor in so many ways.
Right.
But I'll never forget. So we make sausage every year in January on the homestead. And I'm in my grandmother's house with my mom. And I could tell she was battling. And she was one of those that you would never see her in a weak state. She would not show you.
Right.
I didn't know how bad it really was, to put it to you.
Right.
To put it to you frankly. And that's why I asked the question about, as a couple, like, what does a spouse say to another spouse who is sitting there, vomiting or dealing with the side effects of chemo? Because there's only so much you can say. It's just more so about being there.
That's right.
Than anything. But I remember hugging her, and her hair was falling out, and I grabbed some of her hair. This was last January. And she said, I'm scared, son. I'm scared, son. I said, Mother, I've asked you time and again. I said, are you scared to die? She goes, no, because I know where I'm going.
Right.
She goes, I just don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave Sonny. I don't want to leave Christy. I don't want to leave the grandkids. She goes, so I'm going to keep on fighting. Right. Even though that her treatments, they weren't having any impact or any effect. Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that there's something to be said about community, about faith, but also having a deep purpose and having a deep why.
Well, and I want to stop us because we have to acknowledge this. When I went to your mother's visitation, not even the funeral, it showed, one, what a woman in the community she was. And it showed what a pillar of faith she was. And it showed how much she was loved. I have never seen that many people at a visitation in my life. I mean, I think me and a bunch of the guys from Psalm, I think we waited in line like 3 hours to hug your neck. I mean, seriously.
Well, you guys are the real deal. But I appreciate you saying that.
Well, but
she left an incredible legacy. She really, really did. But Cody, you two are doing the exact same thing. That's the undercurrent of what I'm hearing from both of you, and I appreciate you saying that and honoring her. But there's just some central themes I guess I keep picking up on when I have conversations like this. And number one is like your response in the moment in that Home Depot parking lot to me is incredible. Having her beside you the entire time.
Oh, you would have responded the same way.
Well, again, I don't think any of us really know until you get the phone call.
Yeah.
If you get
you're a stud.
Well, listen, I appreciate you saying that, but I'm just going through the themes, and it takes a lot to get back up and each week go through treatment and then take the kids to the Memphis Zoo. And I'm talking about when it takes a lot, it's not just from an energy perspective, it's also the mental aspect of it. Your identity is rooted in doing all these things. And like, I can't do all these things like I used to be able to do all these things. So the narrator is on level 10, but you're still out moving. You never once said, hey, I'm going to lay down, I'm going to quit. Right. And that to me is what, the resilience playbook truly is all about. And so, taking you through their story through chemo, you get on the other side of chemo.
Yeah.
Because I'll be frank, Cody, this is the one thing too, and this is for all of you that are watching that are in a high-performing role. I don't care if you're running a school, you're a high-performing sales rep, you run a team at work, or you own your own business. A lot of times, though, people look at you and say, well, it's Cody Yeoman. He's got this. It's Cole Rodgers. He got this. I'll be frank, when I look at Cody Yeoman, I say, well, Cody's got this. Sure, I'll slap him on the shoulder and say, hey, brother, how you doing, man? Everything okay? And what is Cody Yeoman's first response? Oh, yeah, I'm doing good.
Right.
I'm doing good. But internally, it could be where it's like,
right,
I'm battling, brother. Like, I'm battling. And sometimes it's very hard and I'm talking about for me.
Right.
To put down that armor, that old outdated body armor and say, listen, I just really need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever at a point in time over the course of 2025 get to that place?
He has several.
Yes.
Just strong godly mentor.
Right.
Men, individuals in his life that he openly speaks to.
And that's why I asked the question.
That's exactly right. And they pray with him, and
that's why I asked the question. Can have. Don't go through it alone.
That's you have to have community, and you have to have people that you can be transparent with. And as a wife, for the women out there, the best gift that you can give your husband is praying for godly men in his life. And not just godly men, but mentors, like older. I prayed, there was a season in our marriage for probably 2 years, and that was one of my number one prayers for Cody, was that God would bring godly mentoring men in his life.
Yeah, well, because
I've laughed a few times when she shared these stories because, like,
and you've got an open mouth for me because
I'm the one who's like tested her faith probably the most, and like here she is praying for men to come into my life, and guess what? It's all come to fruition. I mean, I have,
which is absolutely incredible because most men today are lonelier than ever. That's why. That's why I brought it up, because if there's a lot of guys out there that are hiding in plain sight, and ultimately going back to the themes, and I don't care what it is that you might be facing, and you could be hitting on all cylinders. You never need to forget the winter season, but if you don't have the who that helps you with the how, and I'm talking about a strong proximity, this world just got a lot harder and a lot tougher.
Yeah, I mean, Cole, you're hitting on a lot of hot buttons for us. I want to go back to what she said, though. She said, did you notice how she used the word perspective multiple times and opportunity?
Yes.
Right? And that was one thing that both of us were absolutely on the same page of. Like, we were not going to waste this opportunity, right? And listen, I wouldn't want to go back and do it all over again, but we're 100% grateful for the experience, right? Because it squeezed the juice and we got to see what was inside. And when you talk about, I'm going to go back to the mentors really quickly. So we help and we serve in a large capacity in our church through ministry, men's ministry,
a ton,
church plans. But here's what I notice all the time is I've got these young men, and here you go, you got guys in their 60s, 70s, 80s who've lived life.
Yeah, further down the path.
Yeah, they've done a lot of the tough things and learned a lot of the hard lessons. And you know what most of those guys want to do? They want to share and they want to pour that out, right? And
no truer statement.
But most of them don't want to unsolicitedly do it. And I tell the young guys all the time, and I've just had this internal desire for whatever reason. Maybe it's having that father figure, grandfather figure to have somebody to pour into you. But so I've always sought it out. But there are so many young guys. I don't know if it's their insecurity, the vulnerability, or they're afraid, they're scared, or what. But I'm going, there are men all around you, godly men, who are waiting for you to approach them to say, hey, can you pour into my life? Can you speak into my life? Can you teach me how to be a better husband, a better man, a better business person? And so I just couldn't encourage enough young guys. If you know that guy and you hadn't approached him, do it, because you are missing out on some massive blessings.
I think as young men, though, wouldn't you say, like, looking back, and also like stepping into marriage, you want to be perceived as someone who has it together, who can go out and figure. There's just part of, I think, being.
Yeah, I would say going backwards to give my younger self some advice at 26. I had older mentors. I'm not saying that they were the right mentors.
That's right.
So
been there too.
I want to make sure I put that out there, because I could have saved a lot of heartbreak along with a lot of scars that I inflicted on hearts and scars that have been inflicted on my heart. If I would have had the right mentors and had the courage to sit there and say, you know what, this guy's further down the path.
Right.
And this is who I aspire to be. He's willing to give me the blueprint. I'm going to have to work for it. But, again, I didn't. I had to learn some hard lessons to where Ashley, she was gone with the kids back to North Carolina. To that point, that's how the whole thing got started with Psalm, right? Going back to the environment piece that you talked about earlier in the show. And when you go through something like you're going through, or name any adversity that's out there, I just keep going back to, like, if you don't have a who, the right who, that how just becomes absolutely insurmountable, or it feels like it's insurmountable to you. Like you're looking up at Everest and saying, there's no way. There's no way, right? So, you prayed for 2 years. For 2 years. Like,
that's right.
How often was it daily that you would pray?
I had a prayer journal. And it was
Who are you? Like, my goodness.
I married a saint, man.
Oh, my goodness.
And again, just talking about you and Ashley, so there was, we
just
were
getting in the marriage component.
There was a crossroads where it was like, I have a decision to make. I've chosen this person, and I love him, and I see his potential, which is what a lot of women do with men when they marry them, is see their potential. And so I'm going to be committed to giving everything that I can to this marriage and to him. And one of the most inspirational books that I read in that season of my life that I would share with other women is The Power of a Praying Wife. And it just shifts the focus off of you and onto your spouse. And so that started with a prayer journal.
But Brandy, how do you pray? So many, when you say, hey, look, pray, or I will tell you this, because the two of you are here, this is how much you've had an impact on me. because of how much you love her, and there's no conditions that come with that love, right? I watched that. Like, I'm not one of those that, like I said, hey, give me the 5 steps to a better marriage. I sit there and watch to see exactly, how men that I admire, how they treat their wives. And then I basically go and replicate that in a lot of ways.
Right.
Well, for the first time, and this was after Father Patrick's episode on Saturday, this is how my faith has been growing. I laid in bed with Ashley, held her hand, and I said, may I pray? That was the very first time I've ever done that.
Let's go.
Very intimate thing for me, very vulnerable thing for me,
Let's
right?
go.
And I guarantee you, similar to you, Brandy, my mother prayed every single day for something like that to happen. And yeah, it felt awkward. I'm used to speaking in public.
Yeah.
I'm used to speaking in front of groups. I'm used to doing this. But in that moment, I was like, Lord, what do I even say? And Father Patrick he's like, hey, man, just do this. And then text me secured because I know how you guys work. But like to that question, like prayer is such an intimate thing.
It is.
And I think a lot of us overthink it,
That's right.
Brandy.
So in that season of our marriage, and there was some infidelity, and we had to walk through that. And when I allowed Cody back into my space,
You threw that hot one out. I wasn't ready for that one, by the way. Dang. She just tossed that dagger at me. In case you were wondering who it was.
I know.
Here we are.
Hey, brother, you married her. So like.
But during that time,
It's
I
a
really
German coming at you again. That's what that was.
It's there. I told him, I was just like, I have prayed for us our entire marriage thus far. And I have been the spiritual leader in this home. And you are going to start praying. I am not praying out loud for us anymore. You are going to pray for us. And
You go, girl.
but
Damn, you married up, my friend. You outpunted your covers. I don't know if you knew what you were doing at SAU when you fell head over heels for her, because she's bringing the hammer.
Hey.
I don't know if the camera caught it when you said that, though. I cut my eyes over to see what his reaction was going to be.
Yeah, God knew what I needed.
But you know what? But here's what I'll say. Cody, through all of that, he made up his mind. I couldn't make his mind up for him. And really, I was at a place where I was like, okay, there's a nail in the coffin now.
Yeah.
I'm done. And he had to make up his mind that he was going to fight. And there was a season where I did not fight. I didn't have any fight left.
Right.
I had fought so hard and so long that my fight was gone. And so he had to pick it up and he had to carry it. And that was part of it. Part of it was, I need you to grow here. And I don't care if your prayer is, God, I don't know what to say, except for that we are here. We are trying our best. Be with us. Amen. I don't care where you start. I don't care what it sounds like. That's not what it's about. It's about you connecting with God and me and us connecting together. And we're going to do it. And you're going to do it. So we did. And that would be my, like.
It's such a selfless act is what I'm basically getting at, right? I think that a lot of us, because how we've been conditioned.
Yeah.
Conditions typically come with love, even though they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Love's supposed to be unconditional, so that when you do pray, where no one even sees it, in a lot of ways, it's truly a form of unconditional love. I shouldn't have to say that, but that's the way I look at it. But I also think why does it scare people? Like, why does it scare me?
Well, I think because we feel like we have to perform almost, and you're a professional speaker and you want to sound eloquent and you want to say the right things. And like, that's, again, like with couples who are walking through difficulties, and like, that's the beginning piece. You don't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be pretty. God already knows your heart. He already knows your mess. He's just waiting for you to invite him in. So it does, like, and you're doing it together. And that's part of being a couple, is doing the hard things and being truly intimate in that way with each other.
I think you need your own show. Like,
I'm just saying, I'm mesmerized right now.
Alex, we're recruiting new talent, all right, to eat those productions. That's incredible. Well, as we come to a close, what's next though? Life's transition. I had Mark Green on this show. We talked about Mark, phenomenal guy, SEAL team, for 20 years, SEAL team guy for 20 years, wrote a book called Unsealed, and it's specifically about life's transitions, right? Like he was talking more on like, I went from 20-year veteran, multiple combat deployments, and then here I am in the civilian world trying to figure it out.
Right.
You know, he went through his peaks, his valleys, and all that. But you had mentioned something on our call yesterday of wanting to talk about kind of like life's transitions. I don't know what that really meant for you, like future self, like who you're showing up as in 2026.
Right.
Walk me through that.
Well, you know, I mean, this is still really fresh for us. I mean, we literally, a week and a half to 2 weeks ago was our last radiation treatment, right? We just got, you know, that really, really good news recently. And, you know, I've really been sitting alone. I mean, it's been a time of reflection for myself and for both of us. And like, what do we want to do as a couple? And it was funny because we're both driven folks. And we're not like the New Year's resolution people because like
they don't work.
Like you said, like if you want to change today, it doesn't matter if it's January 1 or September 1. All right. You can turn on.
There's no timeline for that.
That's right. Right. But what we do love about the new year is that it does give us an opportunity to go back. I mean, I think it was Abraham Lincoln who said it. It's not a goal until you write it down. 100%. But what's important about goal setting, right, is how you're going to accomplish it. You're the world's best at it. All right.
I wouldn't say that.
No, you're pretty strong. You're better than most. I know that.
But everything to me, though, going back to that post,
I need you to receive some of these compliments.
Man, okay? It's very hard for me to receive compliments.
You're a stud. I look up to you.
Well, I appreciate it. Keep going.
Okay.
All right.
It doesn't do it well. We're going to work on that, though.
Good luck.
Good. And so what we do love is that it's an opportunity at the beginning of the year, though, to look back and see what happened, right?
Yeah.
What we had our eyes on, the plans we had. What did we accomplish? What did we not, right? What did God have for us? What did he not? And so as we've gone in this year, we've done that in a similar form and fashion. But I've told Brandy also, though, like, the way that I was living life, Cole, this is probably a broad assumption, but I do think there was a lot of my lifestyle that contributed to me getting cancer.
I know where you're going with this. Basically, you're saying that it force functions you to be someone new.
So, in a way, okay.
Yeah.
And here's why I share that, okay? And this is just me reading a bunch of white papers and doing some deductive reasoning. I didn't prioritize sleep, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But we both know that when the body doesn't rest, right, we're just dosing the body with cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
Love to exercise intensely,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we also know is as good as it is to get the dopamines and the serotonins, what also comes along with that, right, is cortisol.
Yep.
Right? And then the stress and anxiety that, you might not want to acknowledge it as a man, but in the day-to-day of running business, right? Raising a family, right?
That's an episode in and of itself.
And so I saw cortisol. As good of a diet as that I thought I was practicing, there was still way too much inflammation that was being created through that. Well, what does inflammation do? More cortisol.
Yeah.
And so that damages us at a cellular level, particularly the mitochondria. And so, all right, there's the scientific portion of it from my perspective. So what was I doing that was lending to that?
And that's pretty damn good, by the way. Like,
well, I mean,
you sound legit.
Hey, I do have a chemistry and biology degree for what it's worth. Never used it a day in my life, but anyways. But what was I doing that contributed to that? Like, I'm not trying to do a 180 and I'm not Buddha. Okay. I'm not going to sit around and just like meditate. All right. But and let me say this, I don't have all the answers right now. I am literally figuring this out.
I think right now, more than ever in our country and in our culture, people are seeking answers more than ever in regards to understanding their health better. That's just me.
I would agree.
Alcohol sales are down, way down, which is a good thing. It's a great thing, right? People are talking more about sleep. Now, granted, there's a ton out on social media.
Right.
And although you don't have all the answers, none of us are ever going to have all the answers. And I think that with the emergence of AI too, if it's leveraged the right way, right?
I agree.
If it's leveraged and used the right way, I think that we could see a radical shift in people's health in the next 5-10 years.
Well,
that's my hope, at least. That's
that has to be.
I'm a huge proponent of health equals wealth, and that's just
I agree.
It's a broad spectrum, yes, but if you felt it, the physiological piece of it. If our body just simply doesn't have the energy or the capacity to consume, what does it do to the mind? What does it do to the heart? What does it do to to the spirit at the end of the day?
Right.
And when you go through something like you've been through, it's a rebirth process in so many ways.
It is. And there's then the spiritual component. By the way, you honor God so much better than I did during this. Like, you're over here coaching and teaching me right now. So, but the spiritual component of this is, and I got a very phenomenal good friend of mine. He's a father-like figure. His name's Mark Beach. And he's fun because we get to have like conversations that everybody else would probably be weirded out by.
Sure.
Like just far out, you know. But they're big God conversations.
I love those conversations.
And Cole, I'm just going to tell you, I feel like I'm pretty learned in Scripture. And I want people to know this too and feel comfortable about it in your faith. The more I learn about Scripture, the more I feel like I learn about who God is. And I think you would appreciate this too. I feel like the less I know. And I'm 100% good with that because he's a big God. He's infinite and we're finite. And so what rhythm of this life that we are to live needs to be more, not just in his will, but in sync with his rhythm, right? And that sounds real mumbo jumbo, almost even coming out of my mouth and me hearing it. But there's a fluidity in life that he wants us to live with. I'm going to just tell you, I don't think life just has to be a grind all the time.
It shouldn't be a grind all the time.
And I feel like when you're out there, you're smashing yourself at work.
You don't grow in the grind. Like, you grow in recovery. You grow in rest. You grow.
So, and I'm so grateful to hear you say that because that's something that I'm going to have to learn.
That's something I've had to preach over and over again to so many people that I lead, that I mentor. I'm talking about those that work with me, those that are in my business, and saying, hey, look, there's no way that growth is going to catch up if you're constantly grinding. Like there's not a way. It's like, think about it. Everybody grows through adaptation.
That's good.
And when you give yourselves periodic rest, I talk about it from a training perspective. Right. All the training that I've done along the way has taught me is like, hey, Cole, you know what the quickest way to injury is? Overtraining and no rest, no recovery. And it goes back to impulse control. It goes back to taking a few steps back and understanding who your future self truly is. What is he or she worthy of this week for you to do to ground you kind of what's going on in the present moment? Now, this is me getting off on a tangent, though.
Well, and that's a broader conversation, even because, like, what is it about our behavior that thinks that we need to operate that way too? Do we think it's?
Are you talking about like the go, like
absolutely.
the dopamine hits? Because our nation's addicted to dopamine.
Well, and I would agree with you. And then
in a lot of ways.
But then we also ask: is there an external expectation? Is there an insecurity that we live with, a fear we live with?
Absolutely.
And so
that all plays.
You take those components, but let me share this with you. So this past Sunday, I believe it was. I mean, because I'm searching and I'm praying and I'm like, just show me, right? Because there's going to be a lot of peace. I feel like that's going to come along with this too. But I was outside. We're really fortunate to get to live out in the country. And it was early Sunday morning. And it was sort of another cotton short story. I walk outside and I'm barefooted. And it was another one of those cool, brisk mornings and the sun's out. And I just start walking out toward the back field. And I just felt God just saying, like, why don't you sit with me for a while? And I just sat down on the grass. And my butt was getting all wet and everything else. But, man, I'm going to tell you, it was one of the most peaceful experiences I've had in so long. It was literally heaven on earth for me in that moment. And I imagine, I was like, if heaven's anything like this, like, I'm all in. And we know it's going to be exponentially better than probably being barefooted and wet behind in the backfield. But I'm going to tell you, I'd take it every day of the week because it was just a moment of peace. And, you mentioned about prayer, Cole. And here's something I want to encourage you. Because I find this with type A, driven, dominant folks. A lot of times we got a lot to say. And the Lord is continually, year after year, going, I gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. And he was telling me in that moment, sit down. I don't need you to say anything and just listen. And man, I'm going to tell you, he was speaking things into my life that were so encouraging. I were so loving. They were so joyful and peaceful. And it was just, again, a moment of encouragement that if I didn't stop to rest, like what you just mentioned, that's what I mean by rest too. It's not just sleeping, right? To rest in his arms, to where it's different for everybody. For me, it's being outside. But that, I was like, I've got to have more of those moments. So that's a big goal for us. And I think for both of us, right? To slow down.
Yeah. And this is like a closing statement, I guess, for me. And it's not a statement, it's more than one statements. But when I think about your journey, your faith journey and your growth there, and I think about people listening, and I think about young men who just are hard chargers like both of you, and who are determined, and all of those great qualities, right? But like you said, that help you be who you are, and motivated and provide and be successful in the work that you do. It's like, where do we, when life gets hard, how do we make it through? And when we create those small rhythms in our life daily, like when we start with prayer, right? Like, I'm just going to start practicing prayer, and I'm just going to start practicing opening my Bible or doing a devotional or being part of a men's group and learning the word and learning how to invest in the word. When I start those small practices in my day and then in my week, and that's just a rhythm of my life, then when times get hard, I'm not searching for that, or when I'm frustrated with God, or when I don't understand why. I know that I might not understand why right now, and I might not have the words to pray, but I'm going to sit with God and listen for him. And I'm going to go open, or I'm going to go back to the study I was doing, and he's going to speak to me through his word and in that prayer time. And so because I've created that rhythm in my daily life and my weekly life, I'm not at a loss when the valley or the challenge comes, right? And so I think that's the big takeaway. How do we overcome the adversity? We create that daily rhythm, that weekly rhythm of allowing God to be the one that controls our life, that speaks into us and gives us life.
Fulfills us.
Well, that's the best way to end this show. You two are absolutely incredible. I cannot thank you both enough. I mean, just your energy, your passion, your love, the story, just how you just approach life, how you parent, how you lead. I mean, that's what this show is all about. So again, I'm thankful. I know Alex is thankful too. And I can only imagine when someone watches this or listens to it, that it's going to just hit, and it's going to hit the right person's heart. And that's a gift that honestly you can't put a price tag on. So thank you both.
Man, hey, we appreciate you. We love you. And thank you for the opportunity.
Well, love you too.